Hey, I'm Chris. This is the evening show. I'm your host, and this is where we cover Disney news and some entertainment news, different things going on. So, as of right now, maybe we'll get some things out of the way real quick. If you're watching in the chat, obviously there's nobody here yet that I can see, but I probably should have actually shared it out. I didn't do that yet. Let me do that real quick. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Sci-Fi Dine-In, the characters. The characters getting to the point where you can actually get really good photos with them now, especially there at EPCOT. We're going to talk about that. Some other things. Trying to think. We got Star Wars stuff on Star Wars. All kinds of stuff coming up. And I think I might have already done this. I think I did. Maybe not. If I didn't, we're going to do it again. Alright. So let's get on with it. Got that shared out. Alright. What kind of news do we have? Get to something. Alright. So the first thing is Disney Star Wars. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick. Alright, and this comes from Cosmic Book News. Disney ignoring Star Wars. Hey Jeffrey, thanks for coming in. Disney ignoring Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy gone by 2022. So following rumors that Disney is going to reset Star Wars and erase the sequel trilogy, now it is claimed that The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Skywalker will be ignored, and again that Kathleen Kennedy will be gone by 2022. Grace Randolph posted what she knows about Star Wars or Disney Star Wars recently on Twitter and her YouTube channel in regards to the recent claim made by YouTuber Doomcock. Doomcock on YouTube has claimed that a Star Wars civil war is taking place with Lucasfilm between Kathleen Kennedy and those loyal to George Lucas. With it said a plan is in place to reset Disney Star Wars and use a concept called the Veil of the Force to erase The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Skywalker from canon by making them a part of a Star Wars multiverse, essentially locked within their own universe and no longer a part of Star Wars moving forward. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jeffrey. Grace Randolph weighed in and said the movies won't be erased, but that they will be ignored. Doomcock has also put it forth that the head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, will be stepping down. As the YouTuber reported, Kennedy has decided she will not be pursuing an extension of her contract, but Randolph is stating that is not exactly the case, as apparently her contract won't be renewed by Disney, which sounds like a mutual decision on the part of both Disney and Kennedy. Star Wars sequel trilogy getting ignored by Disney. Okay. Grace Randolph tweeted on July 8th, Kathleen Kennedy not stepping down, instead almost certain her contract, which now ends in 2021, will not be renewed, just like episodes 7 and 9 won't be erased, but more ignored. I've been reporting all for weeks. People are just putting clickbait spins on the real story. While Grace says Kennedy hasn't been fired, Disney and Kennedy agreeing to not renew the contract does sound like it's a bit of a spin. Was it Disney that decided not to renew the contract, then Kennedy was fired? Did Kennedy not want to renew and then she is stepping down? Doomcock is also claiming Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down from Disney Star Wars to start her own female-centric production company. And regarding Disney erasing or ignoring the films, regardless of what specific description is used, that still means the sequel trilogy has essentially basically been wiped, which is good news for the fans. Kathleen Kennedy stepping down, fired, neither. Grace does bring up a good point in that Disney is the big business and won't let any bad PR affect the Star Wars brand, which is why Bob Iger claimed they released too many movies which hurt the brand, and not the fact that they released bad quality films. So no, Kathleen Kennedy, as I tweeted, isn't getting fired, and they are not erasing her trilogy because big business simply doesn't work that way, explained Randolph on YouTube. People make very careful moves in big business. You don't want to have enemies. You have to understand how business works to see how everything is going to be able to move forward. So instead, firing and erasing, it looks like they are not going to renew her contract a second time when the current extension runs out in 2021. Grace continues to explain the reason Kennedy's contract was renewed in the first place was to give Kennedy the opportunity to wrap things up and get things ready for the next head of Lucasfilm. But at the same time, Grace also previously said that when Kennedy's contract was first renewed by Disney, nobody wanted to replace Kennedy because Star Wars was in such a state of disarray, nobody wanted the job. A new head of Lucasfilm in 2022. What Grace and Doomcock do agree with is that the future of Star Wars looks to lie with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and when Star Wars Celebration returns in 2022, there will be a new head of Lucasfilm. And by the time Star Wars Celebration finally returns after a 2-year hiatus in 2022, likely with the new head of Lucasfilms, I think it will be a celebration indeed, said Randolph. Doomcock previously said the new head of Lucasfilms could be Jon Favreau, or Doomcock said the new head of Lucasfilms could be a neutral third party, so as to claim the dissension among the faction that support Kennedy and those loyal to Lucas within Lucasfilms. So, alright. I do know what the veil is, what they're talking about. It was actually in Rebels. And that was actually what it was oh yeah, you can do that, Jeffrey. Yeah, what it was in Rebels. If you haven't seen it, I really don't want to ruin it for you, but it has been out long enough. In Rebels, there's a scene where Ahsoka Tano actually fights Darth Vader. Things happened, and it kind of looks like Ahsoka Tano is defeated. But later on, they go into a Jedi temple, which is Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, who are Jedis. And Ezra finds the veil, and when he finds the veil, he is able to go through like a mirror and grab Ahsoka and bring her back. So Ahsoka is alive again. So I think what they're saying is they're using this veil because it's like a motion of time where they might be able to say it's set differently. But, you know, who knows? They might not erase it. They might just leave it as it is. I don't know. I kind of think it would be somewhat of a big mistake to try to erase it, since they've just created 2 lands in, of course, Hollywood Studios, and then they're in Disneyland that basically were based on those movies. But then again, I meant that doesn't mean they have to erase Batuu. They just change it. So let's move on. All right. Okay, so here we go. We got something from about the Lion King. Lion King, things that don't make sense about the Pride Lands. The Pride Lands serve as Simba's home and the great Unifer in the Circle of Life, but between Scar and the hyenas, some details just aren't adding up. The Pride Lands from Disney's The Lion King are some of the most beautiful, breathtaking, and majestic landscapes ever created by Disney Animation. It is the home of King Simba and the rest of his animal friends, where they all connected in the great circle of life. That sounds all well and good on paper, but sometimes it gets a little too idealistic. 10 Disney films that inspired animated... Okay, so that's... Alright. So number 10, everything that light touches means changing boundaries. Everything light touches is our kingdom. These are some of the first words Mufasa says to his young son, but as poetic as it sounds, it's a bit problematic. As the sun rises and falls, Doesn't that mean different shadows are cast at different times of the day? What about at night? Does that mean the king isn't in charge once the sun goes down? Got an answer for that one, Mufasa. Where is the literal boundary line? That brings up another issue. Do the Pride Lands have a literal boundary line? One of Pride Lions can't possibly rule over the entire African continent, right? So the question remains, just how big is Simba's kingdom? Alright, number 9. Where do Timon and Pumbaa fit in? Who could ever forget the Pride Lands dynamic duo Timon and Pumbaa? Looking back at the film, their Hakuna Matata paradise doesn't exactly fit in with the rest of the kingdom, does it? In fact, it looks more like a South American rainforest than part of African savanna. While Scar rules with an iron claw, Simba is shacking up in a tropical wonderland with these two. What about the shadowy places? The shadowy place is later revealed to the elephant's graveyard, and Mufasa directly says it's beyond our borders. So does that mean those who inhabit it are beyond the king's powers? And the Outlands. According to Lion King canon, apparently there were a lioness who supported Scar banished to the Outlands. Where exactly does that location fit in on the map of the Pride Lands? Furthermore, do they qualify as a rival kingdom or conflict territory? It might not be the land of Westeros, but there are definitely grounds for the Leonine War here. Alright, why do the animals bow to their natural predator? Territories and boundaries aside, what about the various species that inhabit the Pride Lands? They all seem connected in the great circle of life, and contently so, but it's Mufasa and his clan eat animals like the antelope. Why are they obligated to come to Simba's coronation? Alright. I'm going to read these quick. Are some animals more equal than others? Speaking of prey species, how does a pompous and pretentious hornbill like Zazu get to be the king's majordomo? Granted, birds don't typically have to worry about lions being a frequent predator, excluding a rather moody Scar, but what did animals like Zazu and Rafiki have to do to get their positions? Number 3, are there other lion prides? Jumping back to the Outlands for a moment, since Scar is technically not Kovu's father, there has to be another male lion aside from Simba. Ergo, are there other lion prides with other lion kings? Number 2, what about larger animals? As any zoological aficionado will know, lions aren't the largest species in Africa. By that logic, why don't species like elephants, hippos, and alligators have their own sagas? This idea has been partially addressed in Disney's The Lion Guard, but Simba still seems to be the big cat on campus. Number 1, who really benefits from the Circle of Life? Circle of Life seems like a natural and comprehensible natural order of things in the Pride Lands. Lions eat the antelope, die and become the grass, and the antelope eats the grass, right? That sounds more like a circular food chain, doesn't it? In fact, one could make the argument that the lions are using Darwinism to maintain their position of power. Truth be told, that's not exactly something one would expect out of Disney. Alright, so here's the thing. Alright, 1, these are people looking too far into... Oh, that's alright, don't worry about it, Jeffrey. These are people looking too deeply into a movie that's for children, alright? And to sum it up really quick, alright, when Mufasa tells Simba that he rules over as far as the light touches, alright, that's during the time he's speaking to Simba. That's not at all times. That's the time he's speaking to Simba. Everywhere the light touches is our kingdom. So people are overlooking that. So it was a little weird. Let's get into something else real quick. Let's see. There was some Had something up here. Was it here? Might be over here. Find it. Just give me a second. A lot of stuff has popped up since I looked. Here we go. All right. This comes from WDW News Today. Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater Restaurant reopens with closed cars and a limited menu at Disney's Hollywood Studios. A restaurant with some of the heaviest theming at Walt Disney World is the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater Restaurant at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This special restaurant lets guests eat in stationary cars while watching some classic 50s drive-in commercials, cartoons, and sci-fi B-movies on a big screen. Pull up and park with us as we eat dinner in the theater during the cast member preview days. Okay. Labels on the front door indicate they are exit or enter only, although given it is only one set of doors, this probably won't make much difference if multiple guests are entering and exiting at the same time. Hand sanitizer is on either side of the door. Don't forget the speed limit is 5 miles per hour. Typically, a table with ice water would be available for diners to hydrate before being seated, but this has since been removed. A plexiglass window protects the cast member at the check-in counter. We didn't have to wait long before we were seated. All right. Some cars weren't entirely closed off to keep a distance between parties. No more hitchhikers here. All right. We saw a cast member cleaning up after some guests left. Sometimes Sci-Fi Dine-In will seat multiple small parties in one car, but this will probably not be the case for a while. The restaurant was not very busy when we visited. We were seated in the front seat of our own front row car. And I believe that was it. So, that's what they're doing. You actually can eat at the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. And, I like it. It's a great experience if you like that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm glad to hear they're actually doing something right now, and that things are starting to get back to the way they were. So, yeah, the dine-in theater there is one of my favorite things. I know that. But yeah, so I'm hoping more places are starting to open more up. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the news while I'm talking. But yeah, it's really neat to finally see this stuff start to open up. I was actually looking for another piece of news I had. Was over here. Just give me one moment, please. Just looking for it real quick. It looks like I might have missed it. So let me check here quick. I missed it over here. Here it is. All right. This comes from Inside the Magic. Disney files permits for Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue in Disney Hollywood Studios, Walt Disney World. Construction can begin on the upcoming Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue restaurant, which will be located inside Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studio. Due to the current global pandemic, construction had to come to a pause. However, Now Disney is making progress on the restaurant once again, as a permit was recently filed for support structure installation. This permit was recently filed by the Inter-American Stage for construction work over at Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, located inside Disney's Hollywood studio. The permit is asking for support structures installation for Walt Disney Imagineers. So, sounds like they're going to start building that new restaurant there. Using 3 cardboard box cuts and taped together, Andy has created a new rodeo arena using some of his favorite toys, games, and play sets. And while some pieces are definitely Western themed, what makes this rodeo special is a broad assortment of toys that have been brought together to create a fun, colorful mashup atmosphere that only a child could create. Once inside, you'll be surrounded by all of the rodeo festivities in action, as well as Western town and train station playsets, and you just might spot some of your favorite Disney Pixar characters scattered through the restaurant in the form of toys and games pieces, including a toy version of Jessie riding on the back of a Trixie pull toy and unique toy version of Bo Peep and her sheep, all who appear to be performing in the rodeo together. This immersive restaurant will surround guests with a kaleidoscope of toys, games, and play sets, providing yet another unique, fun, family-friendly dining experience that could only be had in Toy Story Land. This sounds amazing. I really think this sounds like a great idea, and I would like to be able to eat there. I have a feeling reservations are going to be taken up really quick on that, so I'm not going to hold my breath. But there are other places that we've been wanting to eat at that has opened recently, that's been open for a while, where it might be easier to get in. So it might be a while before we actually get a chance to eat there. All right. Looking through for some other stuff. Okay, here we go. So I reported on this for a little bit, but this is Walt Disney World releases details on annual pass extensions, cancellations, and refund for 2020. Walt Disney World has just released full detail regarding additional extension options, plus how to seek a cancellation or refund. You can check out the full details below and make sure to keep in mind the important August 11th deadline for cancellations and refunds. Right, so it says, we know that many pass holders are excited to get back to the magic, and we're eager to see our cherished pass holders too. We also recognize that park reservations will change the way that many of our pass holders use their passes. With that in mind, we are offering these alternatives options to manage your pass. If you are an annual pass holder that has paid in full, your options are: receive an additional 1-month extension to your pass unless you choose to cancel your pass. The additional month will automatically be processed and visible in your My Disney Experience account over the coming weeks. If you prefer, and in lieu of the 1-month extension, you may choose to cancel your annual passes. Your pass will remain valid through August 11, 2020, and will be canceled effectively August 12, 2020. You will be refunded for the remaining access days of your annual pass from July 11th to 2020 through your pass expiration date, as extended if applicable. Refunds to the original form of payment can be expected by mid to late September. Refunds may take up to an additional month to receive if original form of payment is not available. Receive an additional 1-month extension to your passes unless you choose to cancel your passes. The additional month will automatically be processed and visible. Okay, so this, for some reason, it's just repeating itself. So what it sounds like. Okay, all right, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome, Jeffrey. So what it sounds like is, by August 11th, you can make the choice of getting a 30-day extension, or if you cancel or canceling. So, and getting a refund is what that sounds like. All right, let's go on. Breaking news. Looked at that. All right. It's just a lot of it is just all the stuff that's reopening. All right, let's take a look at this. This goes in Galaxy's Edge. Doc Gondor's Den of Antiquities reopened with new social distancing measures at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Disney Hollywood Studios. Doc Gondars is known to hold some of the best artifacts and unique items from all across the galaxy, and he's opened his den with new safety measures in place. Before you even enter the den, there are social distancing markers placed to set up a queue line, as this store can normally get crowded. This is also where guests can purchase legacy lightsabers, which are also now available at Savi's workshop, as the lightsaber building experience is currently not occurring. As you enter the store, a hand sanitizing station is set up, as well as a health and safety reminder sign for guests. It's not in Arabic, nor does it match the font use elsewhere in the land, but depending on how long these measures are here to stay for, we hope to see better themed signs swapped in soon. Once inside, social distancing markers are in place to make a queue for the register, as well as with number spots for the next guest to approach when it's their turn to purchase their antiquities. There are also social distancing markers placed by the sides of the merchandise on the wall to keep parties apart when looking at the goods. Doc Ondar has already been social distancing from guests since Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened, kept behind barriers at his desk. Doc Ondar is still praising goods and keeping watch over the store, but it seems that the reopening might have tired him out a bit when we visited. Will you be stopping? Yes. If I get to go back down, I will be stopping at Doc Ondar's. So let's see. I know we had some other things. All right, let me look for other place. Okay. Here we go. This comes from Disney Park Blogs. So this is kind of neat. Disney's publishing shares the love of reading by sending 1 million books to Boys and Girls Clubs of America and debuting the first ever summer reading list on shopdisney.com. Pick up a book or a few this summer, as Disney is encouraging kids and families to come together and share their love of reading with its first ever summer reading list. To help ensure that more readers have access to books this summer and beyond, and as part of Disney's commitment to inspire the next generation of storytellers, Disney's Publishing is donating 1 million books to Boys and Girls Clubs of America across the country, including clubs in Central Florida. Comprised of 15 recommendations. Hey, Surox, thanks for coming in. Recommendations for age 0 to 16, the list features new books from fan favorite authors, including New York Times best-selling author Kwame, I'm going to say this wrong, Bolia, Pixar animator Mike Wu, Serena Valentino, and more, alongside National Geographic titles and classic Disney stories to keep everyone in the family engaged. Curious explorers can see how technology is inspired by the natural world and beastly bionics, discover new worlds in Tristan's strong punches a hole in the sky, or get lost in Netherland with Wendy as she learns about Captain Hook's evil plan for Peter Pan and Straight On Till Morning. Explore additional books from Disney's publishing and expand the stories with activity sheets from Anna, Elsa, and Secret River, Zeus the Mighty, Explorer Academy, and much, much more. Many of the books on the list are available in ebook, audiobooks, and print formats, and more book titles are available on shopdisney.com. Imagination starts today. So that's awesome that they're actually donating millions of books to the Boys and Girls Club of America to try to get kids to start reading more, especially during this summer. So that's real exciting. So Let's see if there's anything else. Not here. I'm trying to find a story I found earlier. Give me 1 second. Might not even be in. Oh yeah, it's really nice of Disney to do something like that. I totally agree. It really shows them stepping up for. No, I have not. I don't live in Florida. My daughter is a cast member. But we were supposed to go, but with the way things are, we're actually looking at maybe going to wait until this is all over with. To be, I think it's Disney, of course, but when you got some of those elements missing, it's just kind of hard. I don't know if it'd be kind of hard to go to the parks and not see fireworks at the end of the night, I think. But I'm looking to see if we can find that. Like I said, if we don't have it, I do know this, that EPCOT has characters walking about. Now, they're not out where you can approach them. They are actually... No, unfortunately, no, I don't. I would like to live there someday. I'll tell you that, but no. Yeah, so EPCOT right now, they're showing up like out in the grassy areas behind like the fence, and they actually showed some people having their picture taken with the character who's maybe 6 feet behind them, and it looked really cool. And I was going to show that, but I cannot find that on here anymore, so I can only tell you about it. But it did look really neat. I know that when you go to Disney or to Magic Kingdom, when you walk in, they're up along the train station, and then they have the cavalcades. I seen what they're doing at EPCOT. The characters are on boats, and they float by, and people can see them that way. At EPCOT, like I said, they're actually out there, not that far away, where you can actually get good photo opportunities with them. You just can't be right next to them, obviously. You can't even really approach them, but it's better than what you're seeing. Oh, yeah, it's better than nothing. So, let's see what else we got. Oh, I probably passed something. Yeah, I read that. All right, let's see. There was one down here I wanted to... I just passed it. Oh, here it is. All right, this comes from Showbiz Cheat Sheet. And it says, which Disney song is the most often played song of all time? I think we all know what that is. I think we know. Disney is known for giving the world beautiful, powerful ballads, but anthems for peace aren't their wheelhouse. However, they once gave the world a song designed to teach tolerance that became the most oft-played song of all time. The Cuban Missile Crisis and an assignment from Walt Disney himself inspired the Disney's most recognized tune. The original Disney's most played song, the most widely played Disney song, wasn't written for one of the studio's animated films, or any film for that matter. It wasn't written for Disney Channel show. It was written for a ride. Nope, that's not it, Sirax. It's a Small World. It's a Small World is one of the most famous Disney rides that isn't based on a movie. Instead, it's a cute diorama of the different nations of the world. The global theme of the ride makes sense in light of its purpose. According to Time, it was supposed to entertain guests at the 1964 New York World's Fair. So I'm not going to play it for you. To write the song, Walt Disney enlisted the Sherman Brothers. According to AllMusic, the Sherman Brothers wrote the song for several musical films like Mary Poppins, The Jungle Book, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is in Disney. Reports Walt, well, it might be now. Reports Walt needed a song which explains the idea behind the ride. He wanted it to sound like a folk song. In addition, he told the Sherman Brothers he wanted the song to convey a specific message. I want it to be a simple song that is salute to the children of the world because they are the hope of the future. Richard Sherman recalled Walt saying they have to learn as youngsters how to live together and to share the world because that's all we've got. The small children have to learn to share the world and live with respect. The Sherman Brothers drew on their feelings about the Cuban Missile Crisis to write a song promoting peace. Many simply see the song It's a Small World as a cute and catchy. It might surprise Disney fans to know it was designed to bring people together during the instability of the Cold War. Right. But the thing is because my daughter does work at It's a Small World, and she said that when they shut down for the pandemic, that was the first time the music was shut off in there since I think it was like 1989. So it runs through the night even when nobody's there. Because it's been played often at attractions in 5 Disney parks, It's a Small World became the most oft played song. It's not just that It's a Small World was played more than any other song, it's that it's been played so much more than the competition. For instance, You've Lost the Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers has been played over 8 million times. In a similar vein, The Beatles' Yesterday has been played more than 7 million times. These numbers are impressive, but they don't come close to It's a Small World, which has been played nearly 50 million times as of 2014. How the Sherman Brothers almost lost out on their royalties. Surely, a song played that often would result in huge royalty checks for the Sherman Brothers. It almost did. The Sherman Brothers wanted to give the royalties to charity, but Walt convinced them not to do so. Richard was glad they didn't. So, actually, from what I've been told, this is the only copyright song. This is the only song that isn't copyright wrote. And from what I understand, UNICEF approached Disney and wanted it to be given to the children of the world and asked them not to copyright the song. That's from what I understand. I might be wrong, but that's what I've read before. So let's go on. What else do we have? All right. All right, let's look in some other places. I'm looking. Let's do this. This will be a fun one, and I think this is going to be the last one. Okay, ranking the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So this ought to be fun. All right, yo ho, a pirate's life for me. Who would have thought such a simple ride could have made such a lucrative film series? Ranking Pirates of the Caribbean movies is difficult as each of the 5 contains something to love. From The Curse of the Black Pearl's horror-themed aesthetics to Dead Man's Chest and At World's End epic story, each Pirates of the Caribbean movie has something for everyone. I don't know. I don't know why they're on some stuff. Because on here, of course, when you make a YouTube video, some stuff you get hit for copyright claim and some stuff you don't. So it's just really hard to tell. So they say number 5. So Pirates of the Caribbean's Dead Man's Tell No Tales. That's number 5. So I'm trying to remember. And I believe, is that when they brought Jack back? I think, maybe. Number 4, On Stranger Tides. Really, I figure that would have been the one. Because I believe that's the one when they bring in Blackbeard. That's where Sparrow and Barbossa fight together to stop Blackbeard. At World's End, that's the one when they go to get, where they go to get Captain Jack Sparrow back. So that's number 3. Number 2 is Dead Man. Yeah, number 1, it's easy. Number 1 is always going to be The Curse of the Black Pearl. That's just it. I think it's the best movie out of the series. I completely agree with this. I could sit and watch The Black Pearl over and over again. And just me, Barbossa was the better villain, even though he ended up turning around and being he was obviously a villain later on, but then they turned around and ended up being together. But yeah, this was me. Black Pearl was the best one out of all of them. Yeah, the OG. Yep. And it always will be. I think the characters were the best in that movie. Of course, it's where you got to see, how they originated. Obviously they've done stuff in the past, which that would be kind of neat to do some prequels, like actually call Origin of Captain Jack would be actually really neat. Even though Captain Jack Sparrow was not supposed to be the main character, but what Johnny Depp had done made him into the main character. He was the most popular character, obviously, in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. But yeah, so yeah, that was great. So let's get on. Some things just really quick. So coming up here at 9:30 is Taco Tuesday over on Gonzo's channel, The Adventures of Gonzo, where we will be playing Color Brain. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more news over there, Disney stuff, and then we're playing Color Brain, which I'm usually the host at. And then I've been putting out reaction videos at 3 o'clock every day. So I believe today was from Tokyo Disneyland. And yes, I know that. Yeah, I think they're going to have Margot Robbie play Pirate Princess Red. So, and they said it really depends on what's going on with Johnny Depp, if the Captain Jack Sparrow name is even mentioned, which I'm hoping it is. But so I've been putting out reaction videos. Today was Tokyo. It was Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek from Tokyo Disneyland. Just a really cute ride. But I have been doing those. Tomorrow, once again, we have Hanging with the Family. And I believe our guest, if everything goes right, is going to be Dole Whip Dad, Jeff Bates. So that ought to be fun to sit and actually talk to him and find out everything about him. But and that is at 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. And then once again at 8:15 we'll be having the evening show where I will talk about Disney, Disney topics, Disney news, and other entertainment news as well. But I want to thank everybody who was in the chat. Thank you, Thorax. Thank you, Jeffrey. All of you for coming in. And I think that's going to do it. I hope you all have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.